Now in the studio, I'm joined by Helin Sari Ertem, an Associate Professor of International Relations at Istanbul Medeniyet University. Thanks so much for being with us again. So I just want to reiterate what the UN chief has said today, expressing deep concern for the disregard of international law over the latest US military action in Venezuela, urging the US to stick to the principles. Do you think the US is going to take any notice of the UN Security Council there?
Well, in order to discuss that, we should first of all look at the inequalities and all these asymmetries in the international system. And I guess this is today, once again, we've been seeing what is going wrong regarding the administration of the international system. The sentences that I also listened from the UN Secretary General's deputy, let's say, it was a kind of a cry regarding the future of the international system. On the one side, with the guests they included, I saw that there's a strong will from many different actors, including some names from United States as well, to continue to rule the world with a fairer system, with more inclusion of the international community, different actors of the world. There's a kind of a call or cry on that side to regulate the system, to make it fairer and just, but at the same time there is a different situation going on the practical side of the issue, which is being done by the politicians, especially the Americans, let's say here, like Trump administration, the members of the administration. So I guess the things we see on the paper and the things we see in practice are contradictory to each other. And I guess United Nations is on the paper side, let's say, on the technical side of the issue. But in practice, unfortunately, we see the continuation of asymmetries, injustices, and unfairness, which is a danger for the future of the world.
And we're seeing the swearing in there, the live pictures of the swearing in of the interim leader, Delcy Rodriguez. Of course, a lot of uncertainty hanging over what her role will be going forward. But what are the implications for Venezuela and the region? And what does history tell us about regime change operations done by the US? We have Iraq in 2003, Libya in 2011. How did they go?
Well, I actually like reading books, for example, from Stefan Kinzer, which is called Overthrow, which is also translated into Turkish as well, a very popular book nowadays with these intervention. The United States, like it's that we heard from the US envoy in the United Nations meeting as well, they keep seeing Latin America as their neighborhood. He underlined the sentence that this geography is called Western Hemisphere, which means the American continent. It's a huge continent, but the United States, as the leading actor of the world and the region, sees that nothing can be out of control of the United States in this region, neither in the north of America nor in the south of America. So seeing this region as a neighborhood means that the security of the region is directly related to the security of the United States. And they especially underlined three actors, the Russians, Russia, China, and also Iran, that these three actors have been very much in Venezuela as actors, influential actors in the Venezuelan government. And now the United States is actually trying to push these three states, which they see as rivals or enemies, out of South America, Latin America, starting from Venezuela. So it's a strong sign to the rivals or enemies of the United States that they cannot enter the close neighborhood of the United States, which is directly about the security of the United States.
When you've got the US creating its own narrative, really, I mean, we saw the US ambassador there in the UN Security Council meeting reiterating this idea that it's the reason that the US is doing this is to crack down on the drug problem. We know that the bulk of America's drug problem is not coming from Venezuela. What can the world, the global community do then when you've got a nation as powerful as the US creating its own narrative? How can it be stopped?
Well, I think at least after what happened in Venezuela, we have to see a strong voice from all around the world regarding what happened, to put correctly on the table that this is an violation of international law. First of all, everyone should accept that. Although there's a strong resistance from the United States trying to show that this is a kind of self-defense against narco-trafficking, let's say, which is directly threatening American nation as well, as we know that thousands of people are on the streets of the American cities being addicted to drug. This is a big problem, as Trump also underlined during his campaign. He said that, you know, he has to clean the streets, he has to end this addiction problem of the people, American people. This is a fact, this is a problem, I know, but you cannot just go and hijack the leaders of other countries just because you are having a drug trafficking problem. It's your obligation to stop that, because there might be threats from outside, but your obligation is to strengthen the borders, especially. And I guess the Trump administration did not focus on what they can do inside their country by strengthening their borders, border controls, but they preferred to go and violate international law by somehow hijacking the leader of another country.
Helin, Sari, Ertem, Associate Professor of International Relations at Istanbul Medeniyet University. Thank you so much.